Hello, my beautiful soul tribe around the world. It's wonderful to reconnect with you by video after such a long time. I hadn't realized just how long it had been actually until I looked at the previous video that I recorded to do with this particular subject of grief, grieving, and coping with loss. And when I looked at the video, I realized it was last winter here in Cape Town. We're back heading fast into winter again now, and I was wearing exactly the same outfit. So I do have other clothes, but this is actually one of my warmest tops. So please excuse my very nasal sounding voice. I hope I can get through this video without coughing or interrupting too much, but I felt very strongly that I needed to make this recording right now while I'm actually in the throes of processing something very interesting that's happened in the last week and a half. It has to do with old grief, grief from 11 years ago that I honestly believed I had dealt with, that I had processed, that I had worked through, that I had come to terms with, that I had found a level of peace with. And to a large degree, I believe that to be true. And I do feel like I'm more in control of how I handle my emotions. And when I think about what happened all those years ago, there's very little sadness involved anymore. I have lots of good memories. I don't very often actually think about what happened anymore unless I'm writing or recording something, obviously. Then that brings things back to the surface. But I was very shocked, and this is the reason for this video, because I want to share this with you. I was extremely shocked by the unbelievably strong physical reaction I had when I was triggered a week and a half ago by something that took me back to the moment after my loved one had died, when I realized he was now gone. That was it. My 2 years of being his primary carer had come to an end, and I was sort of feeling extremely lost and all at sea, not knowing, okay, what do I do now? When I received a phone call to say that my home was going to be sold. It wasn't my home, I didn't own it, I'd been renting, which meant not only had I just lost him, but now I was about to lose my home as well. And I found myself a week and a half ago in a very similar situation. I didn't lose anybody to death or anything like that, but the prospect of losing my little current home, which I've only been in for a couple of weeks, by the way, was suddenly overwhelmingly painful, and my body went into physical shock. I became so ill over the coming days that I could barely get out of bed. In fact, on a couple of occasions, I didn't. All I wanted to do was pull the duvet over my head and hope that I would fall asleep and not wake up. I even lay in bed and I was sort of in my mind saying, please just let me go home now. And when I say home, I mean cross the veil, go back to whatever it is that's waiting us at the end of this physical life experience. I have no idea what it is. I have one or two personal theories, but that's all. I don't believe death is anything to be afraid of. But this physical reaction that I had was so shocking to me and caught me so unawares that I realized how much of trauma that we go through throughout our lives, our body holds on to in some way and stores it at a cellular level. And all it takes is one trigger of some kind to spark that whole process off all over again. And I've truly felt in the last week or so like I was going through the whole grieving process all over again. I got to a point where I could feel, sorry, that's my cat. I could feel the helpless, hopeless sensations washing over me again. The feeling of being absolutely paralyzed to know what to do. My head was telling me to do the sensible thing, and my heart was screaming in pain and saying, no, 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 no. And I have worked so hard in the last year to build my healing practice to the point that it's at the moment. It's been such hard work. It's been a joy, but I've had to learn so many new skills. And I've primarily done it on my own, as I usually do, which has been an amazing journey in itself. But the thought that all of that hard work was about to be flushed down the toilet, so to speak, and that I was going to lose traction with what I'm so passionate about, it just completely overwhelmed me and, quite honestly, paralyzed me at every level. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't eat. I've lost a good few kilograms in weight. My mind was just in an absolute whirl. And I felt as though I was going around and around from trying to use my logical mind, but be balanced with how I was feeling about each possible decision that I might be able to make. And I realized that when we go into this kind of, I don't know if it's a delayed reaction, I don't think so. I think it's more a stored resurgence of a memory that our cells are holding on to. And when this happens, it's like I was reliving the whole grief and loss experience all over again. The difference was this time I was very aware of each step as I was going through it, which was very interesting. Because obviously the first time it happened, it was pure emotion that I was dealing with, and I was literally just taking almost robotic steps to get through each day and only being able to cope with whatever was in front of me in each given moment. This time around, even though the emotional overwhelm felt very similar, I was far more aware of my thought processes and what I was feeling in my body. And for me, this was the key, was going into what am I feeling? Each time a thought would pop into my mind, I would go into my body, literally into my physical body, and locate where I was feeling the strongest sensations in my body. And then I would just sit with that and say, what are you trying to teach me? What is it that you want me to know? And then I would just start asking, please help me to find clarity. Help me to deal with this process in a healthy, more balanced way than I have in the past. And gradually, as the days have gone by, the level of emotion has been reducing slowly. And I'm feeling a lot more balanced and calm again at the moment, which is why I thought I needed to do this recording right now, while it's still very fresh in my mind, because my passion for helping people to work through loss and grief and grieving is still as strong now as it's been all along. And if there's anybody out there who's been experiencing something similar, I want you to understand that this is perfectly normal. Our bodies store the memories of a lifetime of experiences, and a lot of those experiences are good, and some of them are not so good. But when we get to a level of awareness that as there's a resurgence, a memory resurgence of something we've been through before, we have this wonderful opportunity to approach that situation from a different perspective, rather than allowing ourselves to be completely swept away by the tsunami of emotion. I believe it's unbelievably important to feel the feelings, whatever it is, acknowledge the emotion as it's coming up, and try to understand what's going on behind it. What is the primary emotion that you're feeling? And use that as your starting point to begin the process of re-healing yourself. This is obviously like the good old onion. It's something that is going to happen again and again and again until the healing is complete. And that can take as long as it takes. So I would just like to reassure anybody out there who is going through the process of loss or grieving, there is no right or wrong way. Each person goes through it in their own way and deals with it the best they can with what they have. And my best advice to you is, when you start feeling that overwhelm, if you can possibly bring yourself back into a place where you can just sit quietly and focus on your breathing, nothing else. Just bring yourself back to a place of calmness within by focusing on your breathing. It will help you to find clarity about the next step. And that's all you have to do. One small step at a time. So please remember this the next time you feel an overwhelming emotional response to something, that emotions actually have a physical component as well. And as much as you would soothe yourself if you fell down and hurt your knee or bumped your shoulder, when you're feeling emotional upset of some kind, you also need to give yourself some loving self-care and nurturing, just to help you get through this difficult phase. So I hope this little explanation is helpful, and please do go to my website if you'd like to find out more about the work that I do. It's www.tarotspirithealing.com. And please do call me if you have any questions. I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you. I send you love and blessings on your journey. Love and blessings.